Good morning, all of you. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. So in the previous lecture, we have seen about the UDP, how to create UDP client and how to create UDP server. And also we have seen about TCP client and we have seen the difference between TCP and UDP protocol and what is the use of that protocol. So how to design the program or how to design client server model just by using you can either use UDP client or you can use TCP client. UDP is used for connectionless network and TCP protocol is used for connection oriented protocol where the physical connection is present in between client and server. So while we are using TCP, we need to establish first connection between client to server. For that purpose, we need to write two Java programs. First program will be client program and second program will be server program. So syntax are different for client and server program. Using socket, we need to create socket at client and at the server level. So syntax of the creation of socket is also different at client and the server level. So now today we'll see the server TCP server program and we'll see the demo of how to execute such a program. Okay, so can anyone tell me about here? I have created socket at client side. Okay, so socket variable name is equal to new socket. New keyword we need to use while we are creating variable of the classes which are available at the header file. We have already imported that header file. Okay, so here socket variable name is equal to new socket, and here I have passed these two parameters, that is local host comma 3333. Okay, so here this one is the port number. Okay, port number, and this is the local server. So can anyone tell me, can I write instead of this keyword local host, can I write uh, IP address? Which IP address we should use here instead of localhost keyword? I have already explained in the previous lecture. Instead of using this localhost keyword, can I use any other IP address for localhost?
Client IP
So
address.
yes, yes, Sarang.
Client IP address, ma'am.
No, I have already mentioned that IP address
That
equivalent to localhost.
localhost specific IP address.
Yes. Which one is it?
Don't remember.
Just remember the localhost IP address will be 127.0.0.1, which I have already explained here. Instead of this, sorry. Okay. So instead of this one, you can use 127.0.0.1. This is the IP address for localhost. Okay. So while we are writing or creating a socket at the client level, then we should use this syntax. Then the datagram packet, sorry, not datagram packet, because it is a TCP protocol. So no need to create datagram packet. Your data is available in the form of packet only. So here data input stream, we have to create two input stream from client to server and server to client. Okay, so input stream and output stream we have to create with the help of this syntax, data input stream. This particular class is already available here. Means the java.net.star. So we can just use this data input stream in bracket SS is the object of or the variable of socket. With the help of that socket, we can create the input stream. So s dot get input stream. This is the method which is available here. Okay. Again, data output stream d out is equal to new data output stream s dot get output stream. So we can create input and output stream with the help of get input stream and get output stream method. Okay, so just use socket dot get input stream to create the input stream and s dot get output stream to create the output stream. And for that purpose, we need to use this class data input stream and data output stream. After that, we need to access the data from user. Okay, these input and output streams are used for remote communication, means from client to server or server to client. But for that purpose, client program has to take input from user. So for that purpose, we need to create the variable buffer reader variable. So use here buffered reader space variable name is equal to new buffer reader and new input stream reader. So here just remember these two functions are different, input stream reader and get input stream. These two functions are different, and the use of that functions are also different. This get input stream is just from get input from the remote system, and this is an input stream reader just to take input from client, okay, or the user. So here buffer input reader I have created BR is equal to new buffer reader. Once you once the client accept the data from user, that data should be sent to the server side. So for that purpose, I have used here two strings. First one string is str and second one string is str2. So while I'm passing or client passing the keyword stop, the communication will continue. Okay, means once client send the message stop, then only the connection will stop. Okay, and then here str is equal to br. This br object is created or variable is created of buffered reader. Once you create this variable, we can use this variable to accept the line, read int. These are the different functions. So if you want to accept the string from user, then you can use simply read line method. Okay, so read line method, and this method is available in io.star. Okay, these two input these two header files I have used here, .NET.star and io.star, and these functions are already defined in that header file. So br.readLine method just to accept the data from user. So here this data is accepted, and here I have only created that variable, buffered reader variable created with the help of this syntax. And after creating that variable, I have to use this method to accept the string from user. So str is equal to br.readLine method is used to accept the data from user. And after that, dout method is used, that is data out.write UTF of str. Whatever the data accepted from the user, that data should be write on the communication channel and send it to the server side. Okay, so for that purpose, dout method is used, dout.write UTF. That is, this UTF is the one of the protocol, and with the help of that, means this protocol is used to encode and decode the data. Okay, so encode the data coming from the user and write that data with the help of write UTF method. Okay, so right now str string, suppose client or user sends the data hello, then str is having the string hello, then write UTF will encode the data and write that data to the server side with the help of this statement, dout.write UTF of the string, and then dout.flush. And after that, str2, here second str empty string I have created or declared here, that is used to read the data from server. So server will communicate with the client, and whatever the communication happens from server, that will be read and store it into str2 with the help of this statement. So str2 is equal to din.read UTF, means whatever the data encoded by the server side using this UTF that will be read and store it into str variable and use the simple statement that is system.out.println to display the message coming from the server. Okay, and after that close function we should use to close the data input stream and output stream. To close that input and output stream, we need to use here dout dot close method, because dout is the object of this data output stream. Okay, and after that s dot socket, because we need to close the socket also. Once the communication is completed from client side, then client will close that socket with the help of this function s dot close. So this is the program of client TCP program. Now we'll see the server TCP program. So again, we need to use these two header file, then create the class my server class, then public static void main, and here we need to use this pass this argument, and after that this socket. Just see, while we are creating socket at client, the syntax is only socket, means we need to use only keyword socket for creation of client socket. But while we are creating socket at the server side, the syntax or the keyword is server socket, where S should be capital, because Java program is case sensitive. So server socket, the name of the socket is equal to new server socket, and here we need to simply pass the port number. No need to mention here IP address, as I told in the previous lecture, because the communication or the connection is initiated only from the client. That's why client should know the IP address of the server. But once the server accept that request from client, so no need to know the IP address of client at the server side. Okay, so simply use this port number here, and again remember what port number you have mentioned in the client program, that port number should be same as the client server program also. After that, socket s is equal to ss.accept. Here again another socket is created, socket.s is equal to ss, means this is the variable of server socket and this is the variable of client socket. Okay, so socket space s is equal to ss.accept. With the help of this syntax, the request coming from the client is accepted, because client socket is having variable s. So ss.accept is used to accept the request from client. Once this statement is executed, then the actual connection is established from client to server. After that, again, for connection purpose, the input and output stream should be created at server side also. So with the help of the same syntax, we can create din and dout. So din is the data input stream and dout is the data output stream. We can use the same syntax for this creation of din and dout, as like I have explained in the client program. That is, data input stream variable name is equal to new data input stream, and with the help of s only, means here also we have to use the same socket object or the variable, that is s dot get input stream and s dot get output stream. Once you created these two variables, that is data input and data output, again to accept the data from user, server also have to create object of buffer reader. So here buffer reader variable is created with the help of this syntax as like the client program. Okay, and then again create the strings or declare the strings str and str2. Again, once the server get the response from the client, that is stop, it will continuously execute. Okay, and then str is equal to din, that is data input stream dot read UTF. Here din variable is used to accept the data from remote location, that is the remote system, that is client. Okay, so whatever the data coming from client, it will be stored at str string. Then system.out.println client says, and this message will be displayed on the server side terminal, that is client says, and that string that communicated with the client. And after that, str2 string is used for to communicate with client. Means the server wants to send the data, then server first accept the data from user, and then that will be stored at the str2, and after that, that str2 will be sent or write to the client side with the help of this syntax, that is dout output stream. Dout dot write utf means encode that string and then send it to the client side. And after that, dout dot flush means we have to flush that stream dout, and after din dot close means the input stream should be closed with the help of din dot close, then s dot close and double s dot close. S means the variable of client socket, and s double s means the variable of the server socket. So only change is that while we are creating, means while we are designing client server program using TCP protocol, then we need to create two programs, client program and the server program. We need to create socket at client also and at the server side also, but creation of socket syntax is different. In case of client, we need to simply use socket keyword, socket space name of socket is equal to new socket. And while we are creating socket at client, we need to pass IP address of the server and the port number. And while we are creating server side socket, then we need to create, we need to use the keyword that is a server socket. Okay, so no, don't use simply socket keyword, because the simply socket keyword is used to create the socket at client side only, and at the server side, server socket is equal space variable name is equal to new server socket. And while we are creating server socket, no need to pass the IP address, simply pass the port number which is mentioned at the client side. Okay, and after that, remaining functions are same. Simply use data input stream and data output stream for the connection or data sent from one end to other end via network. Okay, so in the network means remote, for the remote location we want to send the data. For that purpose, input and output stream we need to create, and after that we need to use this din and dout statement or the variables which we have created with the help of the syntax, and use read UTF and write UTF. So read UTF is used to read the data from remote system, and write UTF is used to write the data to the remote system. Okay, so this is the program for TCP. Now we'll see how to execute that program. Whenever it is mentioned in your syllabus that you have to use the open source operating system. So I have used here Ubuntu OS, and after that you need to install the Java software on your Ubuntu. So use Google how to install Java on Ubuntu. Simply use terminal and use the use only the command to install the Java on Ubuntu. And after that, after successful installation of Ubuntu, you have to just write down that code on text file. Okay, so you have to create two text file here. First one text file is myclient.java, and second one text file is myserver.java. What program I have explained on using the PPT, that program I have copied here. Okay, and then save that program. I have saved that program on desktop, having the folder DCS programs and socket program. Okay, so here I have stored these two files, myclient.java and myserver.java. Once you compile that program, the class files are created. Once you execute that program, the class files are created by default here. Okay, so I will show you how to execute that program, Java program, and what will be how it looks like when execute that client and server program. Okay, so here I have written these two programs, my client and my server. So I have to create, I have to start terminal. Two terminal I need to use here. So first one terminal is for client, and again I need to use the second terminal. That terminal is for server. Okay, and after that just find out the path where I have stored the program. Here cd space change the drive desktop. Here the path is given where my program is stored. Java files are stored. So socket program. After that, again, I need to give path here also. So socket program. And after that, I want to execute Java program first. Every time whenever you have to execute client server model or the client server program, then you need to first execute Java program, then only you have to execute the client program. Okay, this is very much important. Don't execute client program first. You need to execute first Java program. So how to execute here? Just start with this and how to execute Java program just by using the command javac, that is Java compiler. Javac space file name dot java. So my program is my server. So javac my server dot java. I have already used these commands. That's why I can use that program, these commands for further execution. So javac space my server dot java. Remember, file name should be same here. M and S are capital. That's why, and J should be small here because javac is the compiler command and we cannot change this command. Javac space my server dot java. Click on enter. Then my program is compiled successfully. Means my server program is compiled successfully. After that, I need to execute. So for execution of Java program, you need to use the command java space file name. Don't write .java right now. Okay. So simply java space my server. Java space my server. Okay. So once I execute this command, I have not written the statement in my server program, that is a connection is established or not. That's why it is not displayed here. And after that, I need to execute client program. So here, my client. Yes, my client dot java. Once I execute this, again, at the end, in that folder, that is socket program, the class file is already created here. And after that, the execution, for the execution, simply java my client. This is the syntax for execution. And after that, the connection is established. You can simply write down the statement in your client and server program, that is connection is established, simply using system.out.println and write down the message what you want to display on the screen. Okay. So here I have not used, that's why the message is not displayed. Once client is executed, client should send the message. Suppose hello message client want to communicate or send to the server side. So simply I have written this hello. Once I press enter button at the server side, it is displayed, that is client says hello. Okay, means at the server terminal, the message is displayed, that is client says hello. And if server wants to say some message or wants to say something to the client, suppose hi. So once I enter here, at the client side, server says hi. This message I have written in my program, that is server says and client says. That's why that particular statement is displayed at the client and server terminal. So in this way, suppose here server wants to say I am server, then that particular message will be displayed at the client side. So in this way, you can create your own chat application with the help of TCP client and TCP server. So just tell me, all of you getting this concept or any doubt you are getting? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All of you getting this concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Only Rakesh says. Okay, so thank you. In this way, you can create your program, or simply once you created your chat application for chat with your friend, you can simply write the method, that is addition and subtraction. If client want to find out the addition method, then client will only call that method. That method will be defined at the server level, and server will find the addition of given number, and server sends the result to the client side. Okay, so in this way you can write or you can implement your own program chat application with the help of TCP client and server. After that, we'll go to the next slide. Here, next concept is CORBA's Common Data Representation, that is a CDR. CDR stands for CORBA Data Representation. Here, can anyone tell me about CORBA? I have already discussed in previous few lectures. That is, CORBA stands for Common Object Request Broker Architecture, but it is one of the example of middleware. I have already explained you what is the use of middleware. Middleware is used to mask the heterogeneity, because we are considering the distributed system, or we are learning the concept of distributed system, where the systems are located at the different location. They are not local, they are remote locations, and the communication is happen in between two different systems which are having on the different locations. So for that purpose, different systems can have different network or can have different programming languages or softwares. So mask that heterogeneity, the middlewares are used, and CORBA is one of the example of middleware. So we'll see here CORBA CDR, that is Common Data Representation. Once you write your program in C program, okay, and this remote system is having the program on Java file, then that particular program can be executed. That's why the the compiler we should use, and the common data representation is implemented here for CORBA. So here the CDR can represent all the data types that can be used as argument, okay, and return values in the remote invocation in CORBA. Means once you consider the distributed system, that particular distributed system is used to share the resources, the remote resources, and to share that remote resources, client or the system has to communicate with the server side. And how to communicate with the server side? With the help of remote invocation. So client has to execute some specific task. So client has to send the request in the form of invocation, method invocation. So remote method invocation client has to use, and for that purpose the common data representation is invented or implemented. It is implemented by the CORBA 2.0 version. Okay, so here this consists of total 15 primitive types. Okay, so what different 15 primitive types are defined in this CDR? We'll see with some example here. Suppose short. Short is the keyword for to represent the data for 16-bit data. For long, long is the keyword for 32-bit data. Unsigned short is also used for the data representation. Unsigned long is also used. Then float is the keyword to represent the float values. For 32-bit data, we can store or we can use for the float declaration. Then double is the keyword used for declare the 64-bit data. Similarly, for character char, boolean or octet. Octet is also one of the keywords. Repeated by the sequence of bytes in the invocation or the result. We have already seen in the TCP program, that is TCP client and server. Here we have used the byte keyword. With the help of byte keyword, that remote method invocation can send the argument from one location to the other location. Okay, so here the CDR defines the representation for both big endian and little endian ordering. I have already discussed or tell you about big endian and the little endian ordering. It means suppose we are considering big endian order, means suppose client sends the data. Okay, so client continuously sends or transfer the string from one client to the server side, and that string is passed through communication channel. Okay, but that particular data in if the client uses big endian order, then in which the big endian order in which the most significant byte comes first, means whenever we are sending or client sending the data, the MSB bit sends first and receives at the server side first, then it is known as big endian order. And if client uses the little endian order, then LSB bit receives first at the receiver side. Okay, so big endian means MSB byte or MSB byte is received at the receiver side, then client uses big endian. And if MSB bit receives at the last at the server side, then client has used little endian. So this is the basic difference between big endian and the little endian ordering. So here we can consider the different CDR which is used here. So CDR for constructed types. So different types are there, and to represent how what is the use of such a types, it is also given here. So first one is the sequence. Sequence is used for the length that is unsigned long, and it is followed by elements in order. So second is the type of string. That string is also used, that CDR is also used for length, means which shows the length of the data, again for unsigned long, and it is followed by the characters in order. So it is followed by characters here in case of string. Then in case of array keyword, that is array CDR, the array elements are used, and array elements in order that is no long specified because it is fixed. Okay, and then the struct keyword is used. Struct is the CDR. It is used in order to declaration of the component. It is used to declare the component. Then enumerate is also used. It is used for unsigned long. That is, the value are specified by the order declared. And last keyword, that is last CDR, is used for union. It is used for type tag followed by the selected members. Means here with the help of union, we can tag the type of that particular member or particular data. So these are the different CORBA CDR we are going to use. After that, this is this CORBA CDR message. Here, once client prepared their packet to send to the server side, then different CDR are used at the client side. Here, it is this slide gives one example. Means one structure is created, person structure is created with the entries or the data, that is the Smith. First string is Smith, second string shows the location of that person, and for last string is the birth year of that particular person. So to show in the form of CORBA CDR, just use here, suppose only 4 different byte size is there, means one message can have only 4 bytes, and one variable is stored with the help of, means one number or one character is stored in using 1 byte. Okay, so here 0 to 3, and this index is given and actual data is stored in that particular index. Suppose start with 0 to 3. So here 5 is given, means what? Initially your data means fifth user is there. So simply Smith is the name of that person, and that particular name is having 5 different characters, but at a time only 4 bytes can be transferred. That's why we can't send Smith directly. So simply 4 to 7 bytes are used to store SMIT, SMIT. Okay, so simply SMIT is stored with the help of these two, means 4 to 7 indexes. Okay, and after that only H is remain. So H and the empty strings you have to pass, means client have to pass, because only 4 bytes are used. So H and the empty byte, means this string passed and stored it at the location from 8 to 11. And after that 6 is the length, it shows the length. Here 5 is shows the length of the Smith. Then 6 is the length of the string, that is London. London is having length of string 6. And after that we cannot send, means client cannot save this London as it is, because only 4 bytes can be used here in this CDR. So only 4 alphabets are used, that is LOND, to store in the location, that is 16 to 19, and left 2 alphabets are there, that is the ON. So here ON and the empty string we have to store at the location 20, 23rd. Then last one is the year, that is 219484. So simply use, because this is having this specific length, that is 4 length. So use this complete number, that is 1984, to store this 2427 location. So in this way, once you create your structure, that structure will be stored at this at the particular location as per the what type of CDR is used at the client and at the server side. Okay, so here Corba CDR, in that CDR only 4 bytes can be stored, or 4 bytes can be transferred from one end to the other end. That's why it is represented like this. Okay, so in this way we'll stop here for this lecture. We will meet in the next lecture. Just mark your attendance in the chat box. I will take your attendance right now. Start with roll number 1 only. (11 to 20). (21 to 30). Yes, completed. 21 to 30. After 31 to 40. One more announcement for you all. Just wait. Our IT department has organized one competition. So the message is already forwarded to your official group. So all of you are suggested to take participate for that particular competition, because that competition is of national level competition. Okay, so national level competition is there, hackathon competition is there. Only 2 statements are given, and you have to type your code with the help of any programming language, either C, CPP, as per your convenience. You can type your code and participate for that competition. Okay, and there are some prizes are also for first prize up to 500 rupees are there. Okay, so first 3 prizes we are going to take. So all of you are suggested to participate in that competition. That competition will be on Saturday, 6th of February. Okay. So mark your attendance. Start with roll number 51 to 60. Registration link is given in that message. So you have to register it till 5th of February only. So all of you register for that competition today itself. After 61 to 70. Next 71 to 80. 81, 82. Remaining students, give your attendance. Okay, so thank you for joining. Now you can leave the meeting.